It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
Welcome to It's Culture Podcast. My name is Mark, and I am back. A lot of you all knew that I had been dealing with my mother. Unfortunately, I lost my mom last Tuesday. She lost her fight with breast cancer. So I took a couple of weeks off to kind of deal with her and be a caregiver. And I thank everybody who sent condolences and thoughts and prayers. I appreciate that. It goes a long way. But I'm not going to keep it doom and gloom tonight. What I'm going to talk about is what just happened in this election. And I'm going to say that it kind of went the way that I wanted it to go. In a sense, I'm gonna explain that because I think it's good to kind of unpack what just happened. But first, before we get into that, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all the updates when I post new content, and I promise to continue to bring it to you. Alrighty, let's get into it. So, to many surprise, not mine, Donald Trump is now the presumptive 47th president of the United States. Every news outlet in the country has called the race. Decision Desk was the first one to do it Tuesday night. And as it currently stands, with all the votes tallied for most of the states, Donald Trump won majority of the states, and it wasn't even close. And it kind of went the way that I thought it was going to go, in a sense, because I had been kind of highlighting the flaws in Kamala Harris's campaign. I still think that if the Democrats would have pulled this off, they would never have another primary season again, and that would ultimately subvert the will of the people. And I think a lot of people were turned off to that. And we're going to get into this. We're going to unpack this. And I think it's very, very clear and obvious why things went the way that they did. So I'm going to show y'all the map real quick so you can see it. Let's get to the map. So you see the electoral college votes. You see that the presumptive president coming in, Donald Trump, has 312 electoral college votes, and Kamala Harris has 226. Now, it's important to know, if you go down here and you look, I want y'all to pay attention to something. And I want you to pay attention to this part right here, in the middle, right? I'm gonna try to blow that up a little more so you can get a better sense of what just happened. But I want you to see the total amount of the popular vote. I want you to see that. Okay. You see the popular vote totals. It says 74,721,309 for Donald Trump, 70,994,656 for Kamala Harris. Jill Stein got almost 700,000. And then other candidates, the 1%, they made up over 1.6 million votes. So there were other people in the race, and those people got votes as well. And I think it's important to understand that I think the will of the people got done. Now, I know there's been a lot of people out here that have said, oh, my God, we're about to be in slavery. We're going to get into all that tonight. But I want you to understand what happened. And I want y'all to see the map, because I think it's imperative you see this map, right? You see this map, and the map shows you where exactly those votes came from. Now, Kamala got pretty much the Northeast, like most liberals, because that's where pretty much all the liberals live, and the Pacific Northwest, along with California, Colorado, and New Mexico. And then she got Minnesota and Illinois. But she lost Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And those really were the states that a lot of people were paying attention to, even though they had other battlegrounds. Nevada was a battleground state. Arizona was one. Georgia was one. North Carolina was another. And I think it went the way that a lot of people thought it was going to go. And because Kamala Harris was a flawed candidate from the get-go. Number one, we should never, ever, we should never allow a party and their big donors to ever put someone in our faces and say, hey, this is who y'all got to choose from. That ain't the will of the people. And as much as Democrats want to call Republicans communists and Nazis and all these other derogatory statements that they came up for people who were supporting Donald Trump, realistically, the Democratic Party looked like the communists and the Nazis. You bring someone to the people who was very unpopular from the get-go. Now let's back up to 2020 real quick. Vice President Kamala Harris was running for president in 2020. And what happened in the primary? She announced on MLK's birthday in 2019, and her campaign was dead before the first primary. Dead on arrival. It was like she announced in January and she was out of the race in November. Before the first primary vote was cast, she was already out of the race. Highly unpopular. I think she had like 5% support at that time. She wasn't even trending with the rest of everybody else. So what does President Biden do? In order to secure a nomination for himself, he nominates her. Very, very unpopular, nominates her. Makes her the VP. And everybody's cheering. Everybody's, yes, he got a people of color. Yeah, he got a black woman. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, he got an Asian American. Yes. He's doing all this diversity stuff. Yes. We got to vote for her. And then what goes on in his presidency is probably some of the worst economic policies and immigration policies known to man. Now, he rolled back all the protections that Donald Trump had created via Title 42. He rolled all those back. And then they opened up the borders and flooded it while we're going through a pandemic. Now, we all know what happened in the pandemic. We were all on lockdown. People were getting fired for the jobs because they didn't want to take a vaccine. They were censoring speech. All this was going on in the Biden-Harris administration. And they wanted to continue to censor people. And then all of a sudden, the results of everything that came out from this, you had people taking cases to Supreme Court over the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. Democrats started losing like Supreme Court cases based on this. And then the final report comes out about COVID-19 and its origin. And it's the exact same thing that the former president and the new presumptive president, Donald Trump, had said. The virus started in China. But when he said it back in 2019, 2020-ish, that 2020-ish place, they were saying that he was being a xenophobe and he was putting a target on Asians' back. So that's why they came out with the Asian hate crime bill, even though they want to say it wasn't specifically for Asians because it, but we thought, but in previous videos, and I'll put the link in the description, I broke down how that hate crime bill and where the money went. It was a money grab. About $30 million went to Flushing, New York. Congressman Grace Meem, her district got a bulk of the money. for educational and resources and stuff. It was a money grab. That's what it was. Let's call it a buck. It was a money grab. But it continued on. And there's a lot of things that people in this country are not cool with. And I think when I pack this down, and I don't want nobody to get offended by what I'm about to say, but I think it's important to understand that there was one issue that I think tanked Kamala Harris's campaign. I think it was one, besides she was a flawed candidate, I think the issue of transgender girls being in sports with biological girls. That was the trigger. And there was this commercial that Trump ran that featured Charlamagne the God Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy, and it was talking about transgenderism in sports. And we all know, if you don't know, Charlamagne the God, radio personality, him and DJ Envy do the Breakfast Club. A lot of people, a lot of politicians, politicals stop by, talk. Artists come by and talk about their music, stuff like that. Big platform, huge platform all over iHeartRadio. It's the morning show for their syndicated networks. But they talked about this on the Breakfast Club, and both of them kind of basically said that they went down for it. Well, Donald Trump's campaign used that. They used that in this campaign and created this ad that ran for like 3 weeks consecutive. I'm talking about through every sport. You watching sports, it came on. You watching the news, it came on. Whatever it was, this video came on. And that resonated with a lot of people. And the reason why it resonated with a lot of people is because we just had the Olympics back in the summer. And one of the biggest things was that a boxer, a woman boxer, decided not to box against the Algerian boxer because they thought that person was a biological man. And I think when you push people too far, because everybody gets labeled a phobe, so if you're not down with this, you a disophobe, and you're a dysphobe, and you're a xenophobe, and you're a transphobe, and you blah 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 blah. Well, all these phobias, right? Everybody has these phobias because everybody's not accepting of some things, and regardless on how you land on this issue, I have no problem with whoever somebody wants to identify as. I don't have a problem with who you love, who you marry, what you do in your privacy of your own home. That is your business. But when it comes to sport, where Title IX was landmark legislation to get women to have collegiate sports, it was the precedence that set the path for what we have in women's sports to this day. And we already have an issue with women's sports are not being elevated to their male counterparts. But now you want to put biological males who have transitioned and assign themselves a gender. You want to put them in the sport with these women to compete, and you know that their chromosomes are different. You know that their strength is different. I don't care how much estrogen you take, how much other stuff you take. No. We're stronger. We're faster. We're bigger. Our muscle twitch, our fast twitch muscles are larger. And it's simply not fair. And especially, I've seen it in UFC, not in UFC. I've seen it in mixed martial arts. Women getting their faces beat in, orbital bones fractured, broken, fighting biological men who are putting on dresses to be women. And one of the biggest transgenders in the country is Caitlyn Jenner, and even Caitlyn Jenner is not down with transgender girls being in women's sports. So that ad resonated with a lot of people, especially people in the South. Now, and the reason why I say that, let's go back to the map again. Let's go back to this map, okay? Let's go back to the map for a minute. Look what happened in the Bible Belt. Look at all this. Look at all this. Look at all this. It wasn't close, y'all. It wasn't close. Now in Georgia, Donald Trump won by about 120,000 votes. Now last time when Joe Biden in 2020, when he ran, he won Georgia by 10,000 votes. I'm going to say this. There are black people in the South who are conservative in every single walk of their life that vote Democrat. But there are certain things, certain issues where they will not side with liberals at all. And this is one of them. This is one of them. They may not say it out loud. They may not be online talking about it. But what they will do is go in that voting booth and vote a different way. Democrats, black Democrats in the South are different than the Democrats in the North. It has always been like this. They're different from the Democrats in the Pacific West. I know my people in Georgia, they said they don't want Georgia to turn into California. They don't want Georgia to turn into New York. People seeing this migrant crisis that got happened because Title 42 got repealed. All those executive actions, Biden did that pretty much his first days in office. Repealed back all those things. Stopped the building of the border wall. And then our country got flooded in with a bunch of migrants from all of these countries, unvetted. We don't know who came into the country. But then we started seeing migrants who were in the country committing crimes. And people started feeling unsafe. And then you compound that with the fact that while Trump was in office, ISIS wasn't around. There were no wars going on, no new wars. People criticized them. The left criticized them for meeting with Kim Jong-un and, meeting with Vladimir Putin. But let's be clear, Putin, Xi Jinping from China, Kim Jong-un from North Korea, none of them started any conflicts where the United States had to get involved. Not one. ISIS got destroyed, and there were no wars going on. Nobody was doing anything. But as soon as Donald Trump comes out of office, Russia invades Ukraine, hostilities start back up between Hamas and the IDF. Iran is getting into it. Syria is escalating tensions. Saudi Arabia is getting rid of. It's just a mess. It is an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess. And Kamala said that, I can fix this. But you were in office when all this was going on. And I think what really tanked her campaign is no matter how fast and how, whatever she said, there was no separating her from Joe Biden. And that was evident when she went on The View, because she got asked that question. She got asked, is there anything that you would do differently than the president? And that was her time to say, yes, this is what I would do differently. But sticking to the script, because, her campaign, giving up all these softball questions, she simply said no, and that wrecked her campaign. The voices of the unheard were heard in this election. Many people that I have talked to, who I know that live in Georgia, that live in up here in Ohio where I'm at, who live in Pennsylvania, who live in North Carolina, who live in Florida, and people actually thought Florida was in play. I don't even know how that was even possible, Thought it was in play. They said the same thing. I can't take 4 more years of this. We're on the brink of World War III. I'm willing to give this man another chance, because at least when he was in office, I had more money in my pocket. And for those who didn't vote for Trump, They voted for either Jill Stein or any other candidate. But a lot of people just simply stayed at home. We had to think about it. This election, only about, right now, about 145 million people voted. 18 million people right now still, their ballots, we're trying to figure out where they at. Donald Trump actually got less votes this time than he did in 2020. If the math stays the way it is right now, it'll come up to being about a million less. But she got almost 11 million less than the president. Now, obviously, California still counting ballots, provisionals, and all this stuff. That number's probably to shoot up. She may even overtake him for the popular vote. But right now, this is the first time that a Republican has won the popular vote based on what's on right now. You know, and that map was red with a little bit of sprinkle of blue, because the vast majority of the country is conservative leaning. And a lot of people simply want the country to have its moral compass back. And they think that left-wing ideology is swung it too far, that if you say something, you're going to offend somebody. And if you get canceled, all this stuff. And all these phobias and all this stuff. People don't want to have labels on them no more. You know, just because somebody voted a different way from you don't mean that they were racist, they xenophobe, they misogynist. Like I said in the previous video, there's plenty of times I was, when I was in the Navy, my supervisor was a woman. And not at any given time did I care about her gender and whether or not she had the ability to lead. Because in my mind, if they got put in that position, that means that they were capable of doing the job. And every woman that I served with who I was a subordinate to were great leaders. So not everybody who voted for Trump is a misogynist, right? I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for a third party because I didn't like, me personally, I believe in competition. And I was hoping that, we could get some more competition at the national level in these elections, because this duopoly that we live in is a failed system, and I think it's going to crumble eventually. But in the exit polls in this race, you got to think about it. The popular vote, it went to, right now, Donald Trump, like I said. But then you look at the demographics from this election. The demographics say something completely different. And those demographics from this election show that, like, in some states, Donald Trump did exceptionally well with black people, right? He did exceptionally well with Native Americans. He did exceptionally pretty much well with Latino voters. And obviously, we have seen all these people, we have seen them come out, these left-wing think tanks come out, and they want to blame everybody. They want to blame Latinos. They want to blame white women. They want to blame black men. They want to blame this. They want to blame that. But the problem is that when you try to break down and blame somebody, like, how can you blame anybody for who they voted for? That's not democracy. Just because they didn't vote the way you wanted to don't mean that you blame them. The reason why the election was because of these people. They didn't vote the way they're supposed to. And I've seen the comments. I've seen the TikTok videos, women talking about they, not, having relationships or getting out of relationships. This 4B movement where they just want to, be fem nuts and all this delusional stuff with grandeur. They don't want to be around men, as if men were the only ones that voted for Donald Trump. That's simply not the case. They're cutting their hair off. They are, quote unquote, not going to have sex with men for 4 years. It's just a bunch of lunatics. People are so over emotional over people that you really don't know. And I have never in my life seen. It's getting worse by the. It's actually getting worse by the elections. This crying, this oh my God, we're going back to slavery, and we're going they're taking us back. We're gonna be on plantations picking cotton. You know, they had the little text messages going out around the country to quote unquote black students in these, black people in these states that, these swing states, telling them to report to a plantation. I on my social media, on my Twitter, X, I'm sorry, on my X account, I posted that that it happened. A friend of mine, his daughter got that text message, and I asked my son, did he get it? He said no, and that's because I think, me personally, my son didn't respond to any of those text messages from the campaigns when they were sending out the mass text messages. They just hit everybody, and they send you a text message, hey, read this and hit subscribe, or type yes if you're with her, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it came off a listserv. Because it's mighty funny that it only got targeted at a certain group, one group, black people, as if we were the only ones that turned out and voted. And my thing is, why would a Republican even send that text message out? What would be the purpose of Republicans who just won the election? Why would they send something out to be racist and just prejudice and just try to stoke fear? What I think it is, I think it was somebody playing around. They got a hold of a listserv, and they decided that they just want to mass text and try to stoke fear and create some type of division right before the election happened to try to blame Trump for this and say, see, he's still dividing the country. He's still dividing the country. And that is simply not the case. I don't buy it. I don't think that nobody from the Republican side sent that out. I think it's a bunch of crap. And I think once the FBI figure out where it came from, either it came from some troll farm overseas, or it's going to be linked to some left wing or some disgruntled person, and they're going to throw him out there, throw he or she under the bus, and going to say that they were a one-off. And we know how this goes. We already know how this goes. But it's also important to understand that in states like Wisconsin, 25% of black men decided to leave the Democratic Party and vote for Trump. That is a large number. Now, nationwide, it gets diluted when you talk about the popular vote. It gets diluted because we don't represent but 12% of the population as the way that they report right now. So it's not going to look like a big significant number when you talk about the grand scheme of things. Because, I think when the final tally was, I think it was like 88% of black women, like 83% of black men, which is lower than last time, because I think in 2020, Biden got like 94% of the black women vote. I think that's what happened. Let's take a look real quick. I'm not gonna bring it up on the screen. I just want to glance real quick. I just want to see the demographic so I can give y'all the right information. I believe in giving the right information. How to see? You can go to how the groups vote, and they can kind of tell you. All right. So based on race, right? In this group, Biden got. We're gonna start with race. We're gonna start with white people first. Okay. So whites went with, and I can pull it up on the screen. Hopefully it'll show when I click on it. Let's see it. Yeah. Okay. Y'all can see that. Great. So if you see, this is the 2020 race. You look at the race represents, I don't know what the group represents. I think that means that that's what they represent based on the electorate. 67% of the electorate. 41% went to Biden. All right. 41% of white people went to Biden. I don't think y'all can see that. Let me try to scroll over some and move this around. Let's see if we can get some more in. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm gonna try to, yeah, let's see here. All right, let's see here. Where did it go? Okay. It's not gonna show. All right. Darn it. I want to show y'all that. But my screen for some reason. Let me see if I can drag it some more. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna have to move me around a little bit, but it's all good. Let me move my camera. Move me over some. Hate this, but okay. There we go. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. So, anywho, if you see the numbers, these are the numbers I wanted you to see. So, you see, white people represent 67% of the electorate. 41% went to Biden. 58% went to Trump. African Americans represent 13% of the electorate. 87% went to Biden. 12% went to Trump. Okay? That was the numbers. And then Hispanics. 13% of the electorate, 65% went to Biden, 32% went to Trump. And then you look at the Asians, 4% of the electorate, 61% went to Biden, 34% went to Trump. And then we have the others who make up a small portion, 4%, 55% went to Biden, 41% went to Trump. All right. So you see that, you think, okay, cool. That's the number. You know, that's the number. And Biden did pretty much exceptionally well with every group, with the exception of white people. You know what I'm saying? He lost the white vote, but he lost the white vote, but he ended up making up that vote when it came to Black, Hispanic, and Asian voters. Now I'm gonna show y'all what happened in 2024. Let's pull that up real quick. Let's pull up 2024 demo. All right, let's pull that up. Let's see here. Let's get a good one. National exit polls. Let's see if that's gonna be a good one. Apologize. I usually have the stuff pulled up, but I just wanted to talk. All right, I'm just gonna use NBC News this one. Let's pull it up here. Okay. Hope y'all can see this. If not, I can kind of blow it up a little bit. Let's get it blown up some. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. There we go. Great. So, you see this again. Now, look at the white vote. This time, Donald Trump got 57% of the white vote. Kamala Harris got 41% of the white vote. But you also got to look at how much percentage of the electorate they represent. Now, remember, in 2020, they represented 67% of the electorate. This time, they represented 71%. So that's telling you one thing. Now, I'm going to remind you that I said that 10 million less people voted this time than they did in 2020. All right? The president, Donald Trump, got less votes than he did in 2020, and Kamala Harris got less votes than Joe Biden did in 2020. All right? So and that's what we on. That's what we on right now. That's what we on. So we're looking at that in regards to the numbers, okay? We're looking at that as far as the numbers go. All right. So now you look at the black total. In 2020, we represented 13% of the voting electorate. Now, this is not the population. This is who voted. This is the external numbers of the percentage that we represented in this vote. You see it went down 11% from 13%. That's a 2% drop. So that means that 2% of black people stayed home. Look at Hispanic and Latinos. They were 13% of the electorate too. Look where theirs went. 1% down. So 2% of the black people who represent this demographic stayed home. We don't know how many votes that was. We don't know how many of his Latino votes go. But I want you to pay attention to that crowd. Now, look at the Hispanic vote. Look where it went. 52% went to the Democrats, but 46% went to Donald Trump. 46%. We just said in 2020, what happened in 2020, right? What happened in 2020? He got Joe Biden got a whole bigger number than that. A way bigger number than that. You know? And I think it's important to understand how it went. We said back then, 2020. Let's look at it. Let's look at it again. 2020, right? Here we are at 2020. Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden with Hispanics. They were at 13% of the electorate. What happened? He got 65 to 32. 65 to 32. All right? 65 to 32. I want y'all to remember that. All right? 65 to 32. Now look. 52 to 46. She lost 13% of the Latino vote. Trump made up 13% of a ethnic group. That is huge. That's a huge number. Black kind of stayed the same. It was 87. Let's go back to 2020. What was the black number? Black number was 87-12. What is it this time? 85-13. She lost 2% of the black vote of the electorate. She lost 2% of the black vote and then also lost 2% of the voting electorate at the same time. That's not a recipe for anything good. Look at the Asians. We said in 2020, what did they do? Asians, 61-34. They were 4% of the electorate. 61% went to Biden, 34% went to Trump. What happened in 2024? Think about that number, 61-34. 54-39. Every minority group in the country, Trump made gains with. And then the others. Look at the others. 3% of the electorate. In 2020, the others went 55% to 41% went to Biden. This time, it was a complete flip. 54% of the others, they completely flipped. Completely flipped. She lost 12% of that. 12% of that. That's how you lose elections. That is how you lose elections. It wasn't just Latinos and whatever they want to come up with, white women. Okay. People stayed home. Some people stayed home, and then some people decided to vote another way. But either way, this election was a complete disaster because the Democrats didn't have a message. If the only thing that you want to talk about is unaliving babies, you're gonna turn off a lot of people. And they made that the focal point was Roe v. Wade, but the abortion rights was on the ballot as ballot initiatives in 7 states during this election, and it split. And I think because of the way that the Supreme Court overturned it, and they made that a focal point that Trump took away, he wanted to do a national ban, they put it back in the states where it belonged at. And those states voted accordingly. And some of the states voted for abortion. They voted for it and then turned around and voted for Trump. They got to be able to vote on their ballot initiative that they cared about and still vote their interests on a national level. So all these think pieces, these politicos, these posters who swear up and down our internal polling says whatever. People went to the polls and shocked y'all to show you that these polls, this is the second election with Donald Trump where the polls were completely wrong. Because you underestimate voter apathy and the issues. And on the issues, vast majority of the country decided that Donald Trump was better on the issues. So I just wanted to kind of share that with y'all tonight. Of course, people are crashing out. You're going to keep seeing them crash out. This time, we don't have to worry about with Trump. We don't have to worry about him coming into office on day one and being investigated for some Russian interference and hold up stuff for 3 years. And then ultimately for us to find out that there was nothing in the first place. We don't have that. He may go in with he already, the Senate, they picked up the Senate this time. So they will have the Senate and possibly they may have the House. So he should be able to get some things done. We'll see how it works out. Midterms are in 2 years, and if the country is in shambles, they'll lose the House and the Senate, and then in 2028 they'll probably lose the presidency. So, but y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think when y'all see these results. Like, what do y'all think happened? I know what happened. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people stayed home. A lot of people voted third party, and some people decided to vote for Trump. And if you take away and you stop being emotional and you stop listening to mainstream media, you realize that a lot of the stuff that they say just be a bunch of BS, man. And they be trying to fearmonger you into doing something. I think a lot of black men got turned off to Obama, chastising them again. Gen Xers are not with the BS. We are not our parents. We're not just going to sit up here and listen to a bunch of noise. Trump actually won the vote of the 18 to 29-year-old category. There's a wave going on in this country, and y'all saw it on last Tuesday. Majority of the country is conservative, and that should scare liberals, because there's only a certain amount of places where you can go, and in the areas where you all are at, the states are doing horrible. So, but like I said, let me know in the comments what y'all think about this. Do y'all like, this is a new electorate, and I just, for the conservatives who pay attention to my channel, who've been following me, I would say this is a prime opportunity to build coalitions. These demographics, these minority groups that have been disproportionately affected by policies and positions are now looking for solutions to fix these problems. This is the prime time to actually welcome people in and listen to fresh new ideas. All right? Because you'll be surprised that chances are we probably want the exact same thing. We want our schools to be safe, we want our kids learning, so that way they can go out and make a living. We want our community safe. We want to be able to invest our money and build generational wealth. And we want our country to be safe on a national stage and a world stage. And we don't want to be in no wars. All right. So, thank you all for tuning in tonight. And God bless you. And Culture Nation, until next time, keep it culture.